Thinking about getting veneers? Composite or porcelain? Which one should you get? Let's get right into it. Thanks everyone for watching this video, and hopefully you're subscribing to the channel. If not, please subscribe. Really be grateful as we're trying to grow this community. We're going to talk about composite veneers and porcelain veneers and which ones you should get. Everyone has an opinion about I want composite or I want porcelain and the why. And there's lots of variables and factors to consider, and so we're going to talk about that. First of all, let's just talk about the differences. The differences are composite veneers are like a filling material, okay? They're just fillings that cover the whole tooth. Porcelain, it's like a partial crown. Even if they're minimal prep, it's still an entire layer that gets put on, and it's porcelain. They're different materials. So generally speaking, the most important factor that I consider when I'm thinking of porcelain versus composite is age. All right, that is generally the most important factor that I consider. If you're a teenager and you get in a soccer accident or basketball, you get elbowed in the mouth and you bust off a couple of teeth and they need to be rebuilt, I'm always going to do composite. Teeth are still growing, the kids' skulls are still growing, so we're just going to always think, let's do something that they can kind of grow into. At some point when they're in college or later on in life, they can always get a crown or a porcelain veneer if they need it, okay? But we're going to restore with composite. Well, can it last? I'm here to tell you, yes. If you know how to do composite veneers, they can last a long time, okay? But that's a whole different subject about how to make them last. And so if you'd like a video on how to make my veneers last, comment below how to make my veneers last, and I'll make you another video on that, all right? But we're talking about the differences between composite and porcelain and which one is right for you. If you're young, I'm going to go with composite. Now, if you're older, I'm generally going to go with porcelain. A lot of times people are more prone to grinding their teeth when they're older and things like that, and so I'm going to lean more towards porcelain, but it doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to do porcelain. The other thing that you need to consider when you're thinking about porcelain versus composite is where you're at versus where you're trying to go. What is the ultimate goal? What I'm getting at is if you have minimal chipping, if you have minimal crowding, if you have minimal spacing, maybe composite might be better for you. If you have like massive crowded teeth and you don't want to do orthodontics, or you're not eligible for orthodontics and we have to do more prepping, I'm just going to say go with porcelain. Okay. Generally speaking, here are the differences. And as you can imagine, the negatives for composite are going to be positives for porcelain, and the negatives for porcelain are going to be positives for composite. You'll see what I mean. First thing that's really important, they will never bleach. Okay. You cannot bleach porcelain or composite. And so that is something that you just need to know going in. The second thing, since we're talking about color, porcelain is color stable. Can it get extrinsic stains? Yeah, if you chew tobacco or smoke, if you're drinking a lot of red wine, you can get some extrinsic staining that gets stuck on veneers, but nothing that a good hygienist that knows how to treat porcelain veneers, nothing that a good hygienist can't clean off for you, okay? That's extrinsic staining, but the base color stays the same. If the porcelain veneer is very, very thin, over the years of your life, the base tooth will darken over time. Teeth get yellower with age. If that's the case, the yellower base tooth is going to start to shine through a very thin, translucent porcelain. Did the porcelain change color? No. But can your teeth dim or darken or yellow over time? If the veneer is really thin, the answer is yes, it could. All right, what about composite? Will it change color? Composite is not color stable, and the best way that I can think about it is, like when you have a cell phone and you get a clear case, that clear plastic case, over months or a year, it will start to get a little yellow, okay? That's what I like to say about porcelain, about composite veneers, is they can yellow just a little bit over time like this case does. So composite can yellow over time. All right, it will, and it's not fixable with a cleaning like from a good hygienist. It's just something that it's a fact of the material that's being chosen. it will dim and dull over time. The other thing about composite is it can flake a little bit, and it can be a little more prone to chipping than porcelain. It doesn't mean that it will, but it can. Okay, so I like to tell patients that get composite veneers, they will require a little more maintenance, maybe a fluff and buff every once in a while. Okay, most dentists will warranty a composite veneer for about a year. Now, porcelain, more color stable, composite, less color stable. Chipping a little more in composite, usually a little stronger in porcelain, okay? The chipping, though, becomes a factor or a function of how the bite is, and that's something that your dentist can help manage, but it's still a fact that it can chip just a little more. It is a little bit weaker than porcelain in general. Cost. Porcelain veneers, more expensive. Composite veneers, about half the price. Porcelain veneers take a little longer in time to get done. Composite veneers, fewer appointments to get done. During the appointment for a veneer, particularly if it's a minimal prep veneer, you're going to be in the chair less time. Composite veneers, you're going to be in the chair for a long time. If you're good at doing composite veneers as a dentist, you know it takes hours. Sometimes it takes over an hour to do one. So if you're doing 6 or 8 veneers, it can take 4 hours of you sitting in the chair. It can take a long time. If you're doing porcelain veneers, you shouldn't be in the chair. If you're doing 6 or 8 porcelain veneers, you should not be in the chair for 4 hours, okay? You could be if it's someone that is kind of new at it, but it shouldn't take that long. So more chair time with composite, less chair time with porcelain. Another appointment with porcelain to bond in the permanent ones, no further appointments with composite. They both would need, I would always recommend a night guard under both scenarios. The last thing, and one of the most popular questions that we get asked, is how long do they last? Generally speaking, the porcelain is going to last longer than the composite. If you have a good dentist doing the composite, manages the bite really well, the composite should last years and years and years. The porcelain should last years and years and years. People always ask me, how long are they going to last? We'll make another video about it if you'd like. Please comment below, how long will veneers last? And I'll make you a video for that, okay? But generally speaking, the porcelain will last longer than the composite. They should last you years if you take care of them. If you're seeing the dentist, professional care, wearing your night guard, they should last you a long, long time. Now, the question is, which one is for you? Some of this has to do with what you want, okay? If you don't want to have periodic maintenance on things, probably go towards porcelain. If you don't want to spend as much money, go towards composite. You see what I'm getting at? You have to evaluate the things that are most important to you, because ultimately you'll get to choose. Unless the dentist says, this is not a good scenario for porcelain, I would do composite, like in a younger child. Or they might say, this is not a good scenario for composite, the crowding is too much, I'm going to have to rebuild a lot of the tooth. It's going to be easier and more predictable to use porcelain. In the event that those are not scenarios that are yours and you actually have a choice, you need to consider, does it matter to you that there's going to be more maintenance? Does it matter to you that there's going to be possible color changes over time and have to redo them more frequently? Those are the things that you have to consider, okay? I hope that this has been helpful in trying to tell you the difference between them. If you're seeing a good cosmetic dentist, the composite veneers will look very, very good. The porcelain veneers will look very, very good. That really won't be an issue, okay? If you're seeing a dentist that's maybe not as good at doing composite veneers, you're going to notice a difference. Generally speaking, porcelain veneers are going to look better because they're made out of the mouth by a ceramist that does it all the time, and composite veneers aren't going to look as cosmetically good because they're done each one by hand individually by that dentist. It doesn't mean they can't look good. They can look very good. But generally speaking, the porcelain is going to look better if you're just being very generalized, okay? All right, I hope that this has been helpful. Please comment below with any questions or comments that you might have. Love to be able to interact with you and get to know you virtually, all right? So let me know if you have any other videos that you'd like for me to do. Comment below, and please share with your friends. It helps me a lot. I love being with you guys out here on social media. So take care of yourselves. We'll see you next time. Smile Doc out.